good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And this year we talked about a number of unlicensed games. Some good, most pretty terrible. I will say this though, a lot of the stuff that we got from Codemasters, which was published by Comerica, the same Codemasters that gave us the game Genie and Micro Machines and Quattro adventure games and all that. Yeah, their games tended to be a lot better, mainly because they started life on these European computers, and so yeah, for whatever reason they worked a little bit better. Not all of them now, because some of them sports games, oh boy. But today's game is actually a pretty interesting one in and of itself. It's a shooter. It has a couple of different camera angles, all that. We'll get to it in a sec though. This is from 1990, and it has the distinction of being probably the only game not called Tetris that centers around some aspect of the Soviet Union. Today, we're going to take a quick look at MiG-29 Soviet Fighter. Now, in the teaser for today's video, I mentioned an alliance between the US and Russia that didn't involve Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff. I know that's an old wrestling reference. I don't care. It's a fun one. But yeah, this game takes place in a world where the Soviet Union and the United States have figured out a way to work together. And it's a good thing because a KGB agent has disappeared and re-emerged as the head of his own paramilitary outfit called the World Terrorist Army. And they say they're gonna take over, right? Well, you control a MiG-29, and said MiG-29 is out there trying to take down this terrorist organization. And the game takes place in two different perspectives: a behind the plane view, kind of like Afterburner, and a top-down view, kind of like 1942 and 43, like most top-down shmups. You get a lot of interesting power-ups. Mid-level in the behind-the-plane view, you have to do like a little halfway mini game to refuel your plane. There's this little thing that drops down from the bigger plane, and you gotta link it up with yours so you can refuel mid-flight. It's an interesting mechanic, and it's not an awful mechanic, but kind of unnecessary, I guess. But yeah, the boss fights are pretty fun. Usually fighting a bigger plane. They usually shoot a bunch of random stuff at you. Some of the bullets are super tiny, and they just blend into whatever. I'm a big proponent of pink bullets in shooters, but that's just my business. The top-down view feels a lot better. It feels more like a traditional shmup. I'm a big fan of it. The only problem I have with that, when the stages end in top-down view, you have to land your plane. And you got to make sure you're not coming in too fast. And you got to make sure you touch down with enough room to land your plane. Because if not, you crash. Very realistic. Right? But yeah. It's a solid game. It has the usual really tinny but really good European styled soundtrack. And if this game wasn't set up the way it was, you'd be surprised to know that it started life on the ZX Spectrum. It's a lot more colorful than you would think, especially considering that Castellian, a game we just talked about, was featured on the ZX Spectrum, and that monochromatic look from those computers carried over in a very, very terrible way to the NES. But yeah, this one's good. This one's real good. If you like shooters, you should check it out. Now, if you decide you want to get a copy and you want that cartridge on your shelf, it ain't too bad. About sweet spot number, about $15. It ain't crazy. If you want a complete copy now, that's gonna start about $50 and tick up from there, which still ain't horrible. But you know, I don't necessarily get having the box, not a manual. That's a different thing. But yeah, is what it is. If you want it, you should go get it. I don't begrudge nobody getting themselves a copy of a game, especially if they like it. And this is a good video game, so you should check it out. But yeah, this has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow. Now, for something I hope you'll really like. No, I wasn't going to do the voice